Now, on the question as to whether the entirety of human life, of human endeavors, is to receive happiness, is to bring happiness onto ourselves. If that's the question, then the first proposal that I'm making here is because the wordplay is important here in the sense that how happiness is understood. Now, if we look at most things that make us happy, generally, and to a lot of people, most of the time. So I'm not saying this is an absolute. Nothing is an absolute. So what brings me happiness? Other people, as they validate me. If they say, "Oh wow," to me, I feel good, happy. Events that we think will make us happy, if they manifest, and maybe something that we've pictured in our mind, and if that becomes a reality, then we are happy. Be it like a pay raise, be it traveling, so on and so forth. Something that we've dreamed of becomes a reality. Or also material objects that we want to get for ourselves. And we receive it as a gift, better, maybe a little more happy, more euphoria. But even if you buy it, we receive a certain kind of happiness, a satisfaction. Now, the question to dwell upon is, are we seeking that? And there's nothing that's wrong about it. So let's not dwell in the right and wrong realm here. It is more than that. This effort is to expand it, expand the space of happiness, and see what can be added on from within ourselves. Because all these sources that I talked about that hold true for most of us most of the times, plus what's in us, within us, in that equanimous state of contentment that can prolong the state of happiness, contentment, satisfaction, the absence of unsatisfactoriness, this jitteriness that's there and sometimes persisting. Now, the internal source, if it's tapped, if it's seen through various awarenesses, and playfully, mind you, in my thought, it is not something that we'll tap into by forcing ourselves to it. I mean, trying to really see how we can force ourselves through the process of happiness. That itself feels wrong. If you just think of how force is applied on the body and mind, the moment we recognize that, we know force is not our path. Joyfully, playfully, gently, if we see that the mind is driven to various kinds of emotions. And in these emotional states, certain kinds of happinesses are derived because this emotion calls for a certain kind of happiness. I want a car and I hold it very dear in my heart. I want a new car or a motorbike or a bicycle, gold, jewelry, whatever, clothing, whatever we are thinking of. If we attached our emotions to them, what will happen is this emotion will seek a completeness. And that completeness will come about through acquiring of these material objects. And the emotion says, okay, well, I'm happy. Now, for the entirety of the mind, in its greatest ability, in its highest level of sapience to be happy, what calls for is that we connect to that deeper source of happiness, of contentment, of being satisfied. And that flow will come about by playfully, gently watching the mind, our emotions, our feelings, and seeing that the externals require so much of energy, effort, and also even that is not enough to bear in mind that the externals actually have a way of happening through their own course, through their own karma. And that is sort of risky, right? We put an effort to receive a certain kind of happiness, but there are so many variables to it. There's so much to it that a lot of it is not in our control. And yeah, there it goes. It feels, we feel bad. So In the course of seeking happiness, as Acharya Shantideva in his magnum opus Bodhicharyavatara says, deluded minds, when seek happiness, they actually get more deluded and they get more unsatisfactoriness and unhappiness instead of joy. So, what I'm proposing here is to go to that source within us, which is content, realizing the unsatisfactoriness of this world. there is there are events, there is this impermanence, which also means that the certain kind of happiness that comes to us will not remain. It will fade away, and so on and so forth. If we do a little bit of contemplation on that, we'll realize that this happiness that we seek from outside is probably not the kind that will really make us happy in the long run to the longest time. So that's the proposal, to see the inner source and also enjoy life playfully, gently, but at the same time go to that source and see what brings happiness, the true happiness that lasts longer, and it develops, it grows from one stage to another. Thank you.